Hey guys, I'm Mr. Mills, and today I'm going to be giving a quick refresher on horizontal and vertical lines. So a horizontal line is the one that looks sideways, right? It's like if you're looking out at the horizon or something. And a vertical line, that's the straight up and down one, right? If you're playing basketball, you ask, what's your vertical? How high can you jump? Straight up, okay? So first I'm going to talk about some horizontal lines. So horizontal, we have a few key components about horizontal lines, like a few ways to identify characteristics about horizontal lines, and then maybe if you were given some characteristics, is it a horizontal or a vertical line, and how would you know? Okay, so the first key component I'm going to talk about with the horizontal line is its slope. And the slope for a horizontal line is always going to be 0. Okay, and now the reason for that is because if I were to look at some sort of graph of a horizontal line, let's say I have this blue horizontal line here, right? And I'm trying to identify, well, what's the slope of that line? Well, if I pick two random points, I don't know what they are, and that's totally fine, but if I pick two random points on this, when I start to find my slope, meaning the rise over run, the change in y over the change in x, basically how far up am I going if I have to go to the right, okay? So how steep is this line? Well, if I start to identify my slope using that slope formula, I see that to get from point A over here to point B over here, I don't have to go up any units at all, right? Because this point A and point B are both at the 2 on the y-axis, right? So I don't have to go up at all to get over from A to B, right? So my rise is 0, okay? And then I think, how far over do I have to go? Well, to get from A to B, I have to go over 1, 2, 3, 4 units. Okay, so I rose 0, I ran 4, 0 divided by 4 gets me 0, which is why my slope for that horizontal line is always going to be 0. Okay, now another key component for a horizontal line is if you're trying to find the equation of it, would it be y equals or x equals? Okay, and so for the equation of a horizontal line, that equation is actually always going to be y equals a number, right? So in this case, my equation here would be y equals 2. That would be my equation here. And the reason for that is because I have that horizontal line there. What's the y value right there? Right? Well, the y value is 1, 2. Right? And that y value actually never changes. If I went over to point B over here, what's my y value there? Well, it's still 2, right? Because I didn't go up or down. I went to the right, but I don't care about that. I didn't go up or down though. Right? And what's my y value over here at point A? Well, it's still 2 again, right? And so my equation for any horizontal line is always going to be y equals a number. Okay? So I have my slope for horizontal lines is always going to be 0. My equation is always going to be y equals a number. Okay? And now let's talk about vertical lines. Okay, let's talk about vertical lines. Oops, vertical. Okay, terrible. Anyway, so for a vertical line, the first thing that we'll identify is the slope. Let's do the slope of our vertical line. And this is the weird one that you've probably never really seen before in a math class. This is the one that doesn't have an exact value actually, because actually it is what we call undefined. And the reason for that is because, let's get a vertical line in here. Let's let's say I had this nice reddish line here and I wanted to find the slope of this thing. Let's get 2 points. Let's use, we'll call this point C and we'll call this point D. Okay? If I'm trying to move from C to D, I know slope is rise over run. Okay? And if I'm trying to find the slope from C to D, first I need to know how much I rise, how much I go up. Well, let's say this is 2 down here. If I have to go up 3 units to get up to point D, that means my rise is 3 units. Okay, but then how much do I run? How much do I go over? Well, they're on the same vertical line. So I'm not even going left or right? Which is why I don't have any run. I don't go horizontal. Okay, so my run is 0. Okay, and then, well, what's 3 divided by 0? Type that in your calculator and tell me what you get. That's always going to be undefined because you cannot divide by 0. It doesn't make sense to split something into 0 parts. I don't even know what that means. I can't comprehend that, right? I don't think anyone can. Okay, so any number divided by 0 is going to be undefined, which is why my slope for any vertical line is always going to be undefined. Always undefined, okay? All right, and then the last part I'll say about vertical lines is vertical lines always have the equation, they always have the same, a very similar equation, I should say, to each other. Are they always x equals or y equals? Well, horizontal lines were y equals a number, so vertical lines must be x equals a number. Okay, and in the case of this reddish line here, my equation would be x equals whatever number that is, right? I go 1, 2. That's x equals 2 right there. So x equals 2 for my vertical line. Okay. All right, a quick review on horizontal and vertical lines. I hope that this helps. I'm glad to answer any questions that you guys have for this week and for the rest of the year, and of course even for next year. Okay, so whatever I can do to help you, please just let me know. I want something to do. I want to be a part of your educational lives, as cheesy as it sounds. All right, Maroon Pride.